As Gen Xers, we were raised to be resourceful. Figure it out, keep going, and certainly don't complain about it. But midlife seems to challenge that. Between menopause, caring for aging parents, supporting our adult kids, and trying to process everything that's going on in this world, it's a lot. So today I'm sharing 5 things that I've kind of struggled with in midlife and the simple things that keep me grounded instead of burned out. Be sure to watch till the end so I tell you what is saving me right now. Now, this first one I think we all have to deal with. It can hit us by surprise sometimes. Maybe a Facebook memory pops up or you're looking through an old photo album and you see a picture of your younger self. And that's when it hits you. I might feel like her, but I don't look like her anymore. You kind of mourn your younger self. You look in the mirror and notice the wrinkles, the smile lines, the expressions, the gray hair that's popping up. And maybe, like me, you look down at your hands and see your mom's hands, the age spots and the crepey skin starting. And you realize you're not in your 20s anymore. And you kind of mourn that passage of time. And it doesn't make it any easier with all the filters that are on Instagram and Facebook, and you see celebrities like Kris Jenner having facelifts. It just makes us feel older and not as confident. But the thing is, I wouldn't want to go back to that younger self. Me in my 20s did not know near what I do in my 50s. I really like myself. I figured out things I like and don't like, and I'm not worried so much about what other people think about me. Now, I personally am not going to be getting a facelift anytime soon, but I might be buying any lotions and potions that promise for the wrinkles to go away. I think we all have to come to terms with mourning that younger self, but also celebrating who we've become. And while we're remembering who we used to be, we're also carrying a whole lot right now. As Gen Xers, we were taught to push through without making a fuss. And social media really plays into this. We're supposed to put our highlight reel there, all the good things we're doing, maybe on Facebook or Instagram, but don't talk about the messy. Honestly, we had a very rough summer. A lot of things were hitting us all at once. And I wanted to share what real life looks like. In case you have some struggles behind the scenes too, I want you to know you're not alone. This midlife season can be hard. First off, we have 5 aging parents. 3-step parents and both our mothers. And it seemed like one after another there was problems that arose. 2 hospitalizations, surgery, a couple was displaced out of their home for construction problems. There was a lot going on. And Brady and I were constantly trying to take care of them while also sticking with our own responsibilities. Our business had some challenges this summer. We had an employee steal from us and we had to figure that out. And one of my daughters had a rough patch. And as a mom, you're only as happy as your least happy kid. So it was a rough summer. It just felt like one thing after another. Oh yeah, and then we had the unexpected kitchen remodel. So I had a month of plastic around my kitchen, dust everywhere, waiting for that to all be done. I was on overload and I didn't know what to do with all this responsibility. I remember back in my 20s, my mom was the one taking care of the older people. But you know what? She was retired. She didn't have a job at that time, so she had the time to do it. I wasn't so lucky. I'm still working and trying to juggle it all. And maybe you are too. There were many a day that I wanted to yell, Calgon, take me away. Do you remember that commercial? But I just wanted to escape to maybe a bubble bath or just get outside and get rid of some of that tension because it just was bubbling up and too much. We as Gen Xers carry that badge of honor that we can handle it all. But are we supposed to? Maybe it's time we let something go or get help in an area that we need it. Maybe we aren't supposed to carry all this responsibility at once. Our resilience could also be our downfall. I think we're all carrying something hard in this season. What's been the hardest for you and what's helped you get through it? Let me know in the comments so we can support each other. Now, just as we're carrying all of that, it feels like as midlife hits, I'm not sure when it happened, but we start to kind of fade into the background. People aren't noticing us as much. They don't notice us when we're walking in the gym. They're not paying attention to us when we walk into a meeting. We have to speak up and make people listen to us. Our kids are discounting us because we don't know the latest slang or haven't kept up with the latest trends on TikTok. And don't even get me started on how doctors dismiss us. So it just doesn't seem fair. Right as we're handling all this craziness, we become invisible and no one sees us. But you know what? I think sometimes that's a blessing in disguise. When no one's watching, you can be brave enough to try new things. You feel that restlessness because you have a lot of wisdom to share and no one to share it with. You feel you need a purpose. And sometimes that purpose comes from those life experiences, those struggles that someone else needs your wisdom. It's finding ways to help others, I think, that helps us be seen again and to feel purposeful. I'm lucky that my daughters still listen to me. I like to volunteer at my church and I have this YouTube channel. You get to listen to some of my wisdom and I hope you'll share yours in the comments as well. But I think even if we feel invisible, it's time to go behind the scenes and do what we were called to do. On top of trying to find our place in the world, it's right about the time our bodies start to change the rules. So change number 4 that I've had to deal with is menopause changes the rules. The way we used to eat, exercise, sleep even, is no longer working when our hormones go on the roller coaster ride. Who knew that that period that we hated getting every month was actually easier on us than the hormonal changes that menopause brings? Nothing is more motivating to me to make sure my hormones stay balanced and I have healthy lifestyle habits in place than watching my relatives age. I see how doctors treat the elderly. We think we're invisible. The elderly are certainly there. The doctors are treating symptoms with pills and surgeries that a lot of times have side effects that make them go to another doctor and another doctor. They stopped exercising and retired, and you see their world start shrinking. They can't be as active as they want to be. They don't want to be a burden, but sometimes they have no choice but to lean on us. And I know we have the information to do things differently. We know we've got to move our bodies, strength train. We've got to eat protein and fiber and ditch that processed food that came about in the last 20, 30 years. We've got to do things differently. Even though menopause has changed the rules, it's time to figure it out so that we can age differently. And if you're in the thick of menopause too, I put together a girlfriend's guide to menopause, the real talk I wish I had. You can find it in the description below. And it's no wonder when life feels heavy that we turn back to nostalgia. Listening to the music of our high school days brings back that carefree feeling. Thinking about how great summers were when all we had to worry about was what time everybody was meeting at the mailbox to play a game outside and what we would do all day, ride our bikes, maybe go to 7-Eleven for a Slurpee, and we didn't have to be back home till the street lights came on. Those carefree days felt so good to us, but now we long for that because life is heavy. This really hit me when my niece was telling me about a new policy. She was starting high school and everyone at her school has to turn their phone into this pouch and lock it, and they get it at the end of the day. They don't have access to texting, social media all day long. She thought it was horrible, but I was like, sign me up. Where's my pouch? I want to turn this thing in. Because I think we know that this can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse. Back when I first started my career, I went to work and I came home and I didn't have to work. But now I'm constantly checking emails, there's text messages, there's just constant pressure to be on, to look a certain way, to post that highlight reel. And I think we need to drift back to how can we take control of this technology so that we can bring back some of the good of the olden days. Have a real phone conversation, read a physical book, have some downtime. Yes, there's a lot going on in this world, but we can take back to that simpler time, those days that we loved so much as a teenager and as a young adult. Let's bring some of the good back into today's world. So that's some of the things I've been struggling with. But here's the things that have been saving me this summer. Now, I'll first mention dialing in those lifestyle habits that I know always help me feel my best. Simple meals of protein and vegetables that I can do on repeat, maybe meal prep on the weekend, going to bed on time, and really trying to cut off that caffeine and set myself up for the best night's sleep I can get. But the new thing that I tried this summer was really surprising how much it helped. Going on a morning walk without technology, nothing in my ears. I'm used to listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook or some music, but this time I knew I just needed to be able to hear my own thoughts. Life was so stressful that I needed a way to cope. I practiced breathing with my walking. In the morning, sometimes in the park when I was all alone making the loop, I actually prayed out loud, told God all my problems and my prayers for things to go better. And nothing really changed about my circumstances much, but what changed was how I was coping with them. So if you're going through a stressful season, I highly recommend going on a no technology walk. Listen to the birds, really look at the sunrise. Be thankful for things you see. It really can help you cope with some of the stress that's in your life. The other thing that I really leaned into was a journal dump. I got pen to paper and just wrote down all the things that were bothering me. Just put it all on paper and tried to let go of it. I am not great at always letting go and leaving it up to God. I always feel like I have to control things, but this was a good way to just kind of put it on paper and get it out of my head so that I could have a better chance of sleeping and not ruminating over all those problems. And the third thing, I really tried to embrace the and. And what I mean by that is there was a lot of hard this summer. The hospital visits, the surgeries, the kitchen remodel, my daughter struggling, all these things were hard, but there was also a lot of joy. Brady and I got to take a great anniversary trip this summer to Grand Cayman. Our girls came over for dinner sometimes. There's little pockets of joy. And if I only focused on that grief and that hard, I would stay in the pits of despair. But I want to embrace the and, because life is all about the good and the bad, and you've got to embrace that and. Those of us that grew up as latchkey kids sometimes feel like we have to do it all on our own. Finding community, finding someone else that's going through a similar struggle can really lift the weight off your shoulders. Sharing with somebody what's going on can really help. And I want to build that community here as well. If you've got something hard going on, I'd love to pray for you. Yes, midlife comes with a lot of struggles, but I'm here to tell you, you're not alone and you don't have to carry it all. If this video helped, be sure to watch this one where I go over some of the things that no one tells us about life after 50.